So when we're dividing complex radicals, we need to make sure we're rationalizing the denominator. Remember I, even though it doesn't look like a radical, right? Because we're writing it we have a stand-in number for it, I, right? It is still a radical, so we need to make sure we get it out of our denominator. So I have, to simplify this numerator, so I've got I square root of 75, which is 3 times 25, so I have 5i square root of 3 over I square root of 3. So I need to multiply the numerator and the denominator not just by the square root of 3, but I square root of 3, because I is still a radical. I'm going to get 5i squared square root of 9 over I squared square root of 9. That's going to give me a negative 1 times 3, which is a negative 3. This is giving me 5 times negative 1 times 3. So that would give me a negative 15 over negative 3. The correct answer is 5. Let's try that again. I have I square root of 32. 32 is 2 times 16. 4 times 4. It's early, I haven't had my coffee. So I've got 4 square root of 2 over 2 square root of 2, multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 2. So I have 4i square root of 4 over 2 times 2. So I get 8i over 4, which is just 2i. All right, let's go ahead and practice multiplying some complex numbers, remembering our key takeaway that I squared is negative 1. Oh, I already had that written down. See how helpful I am sometimes? Okay, so 4i times 2 is 8i. 4i times 3i is 12i squared. So that gives me 8i plus 12 times negative 1, which is a negative 12 plus 8i. And we do want to write the real part first. Another key takeaway, you write the real part first. Okay, let's go ahead and FOIL this next one. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times a negative 2i is negative 6i. 5i times 4 is 20i. 5i times a negative 2i is a negative 10i squared. So I have 12 plus 14i minus 10 times negative 1. That becomes a positive 10. So I have 12 plus 10 plus 14i. Final answer is 22 plus 14i. Okay, last example. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times negative 5i is negative 10i. 3 times 3i times 1 is 3i. 3i times negative 5i is a negative 15i squared. So I have 2. Negative 15 times a negative 1 is a positive 15 minus 7i. Final answer is 17 minus 7i. Last but not least, remembering that, we already worked through a little bit of this. Let's work through a couple more examples though. Remembering that the square root of I, that I is the square root of negative 1, so it is indeed a radical. So here I'm going to multiply by the conjugate. I've got 5 plus 2i over, oh, nope, I got to multiply by the conjugate, so that should be a minus. 5 minus 2i over 5 minus 2i, that gives me 40 plus 8 times negative 2i, that's a minus 16i. 9i times 5 is a plus 45i. 9i times negative 2i is a negative 18i squared. I'm just going to go ahead and write that as times negative 1. My denominator, I've got 25 minus 10i plus 10i minus 2i squared, which is negative 1. So I'm going to have 40 plus 18. 45 minus 16, well, 45 minus 10 would give me 35 minus 6 is 39. So I've got positive 39i. My denominator, I have 25 plus 2. So final answer is 58 plus 39i over 27. And I cannot simplify that any further, I believe, by pulling out like the greatest common factor. Last but not least, I have for problem 2, I have 1 plus I over I. I'm going to multiply by I on the top and the bottom. So I get I plus I squared over I squared. So I have I minus 1 over a negative 1. That gives me negative I plus 1, which I want to rewrite because we always want our real part first.